We're not gonna. Did you put film in the camera? RJ, thanks for having us over.
Thank you, Mike.
It's the first time I've been down in this. I feel like I've spent tons of time here.
I know.
One way or another, yeah.
This is where the magic happens.
It's great. And Carl's here from Liverpool.
All right.
To hang out with us here in Nashville. We're down for a week. But I'm glad you had time to get together with us because especially this guitar goes back to the first time we ever got together and you did some demos for us, and it's kind of amazing to think back to how much has happened since then.
I know, it's been like 12 years
or
so.
Well, this looks like 2011.
Okay.
That was the first one. If that was the first one, I'm pretty sure it was. But I'm trying to think. It must have happened at NAMM when we first met. I would assume that. Was it? Do you recall the exact moment?
So I think the first time we ever made contact was I was interested in purchasing this instrument in LA, and I'm like, you know what? Let me reach out to the company and see if I can throw my resume around and see if I can get an artist discount. Yeah. So I had emailed you, and we went back and forth, and I think we came to the agreement maybe about doing a video. I think that's kind of how it all started, and I hadn't really done any kind of video work up to that point.
But I would think 2010, 11, there wasn't a lot of people doing what you see happening now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I can still remember watching guys like Pete Thorne or, Phil X, Andy from, at the time, Pro Guitar Shop.
Right,
pedal videos.
That's right.
And that was it. Like, I can't think of anyone else at the time I was watching a lot of.
Yeah. So we were doing the odd video just with some of the guys that worked with us up there. New product video, and a couple of guys would do a couple of walkthroughs, but they were all the typical kind of, this guitar has two P90 pickups with 2 volume, 2 tone. It was just
infomercials.
They were like what you'd see on somebody's website or the spec sheets on guitars, and it was just making a video of a spec sheet.
Yeah.
But it wasn't very entertaining.
But I want to say like the Eastwood product videos were some of the first product videos or reviews I had seen. I can't think of his name, but he did a lot of... Yes.
Oh,
Wendell
right.
Ferguson.
Well, yeah, we did Wendell ones a long time ago.
Wendell.
Yeah, he was a great player.
He's a great player, Wendell.
That's right. We started... And you know why? The reason we did that is because we were one of the only guitar companies to sell directly to the consumer. So the value of those videos was huge because we didn't have a store for somebody to walk in and pick it up and try it. So the videos kind of covered that. That's why it was great that and the first time you did this video, I haven't looked at it in many years, but didn't you do like a Bowie tune or some?
With this one, I think it was kind of just like a blues, like a 50s blues rock thing.
Yeah.
And the backing track, I can't remember if I made it or I downloaded it from like Guitar Center did like a King of the Blues contest every year. And I think I took one of those backing tracks and did it or something.
Yeah. But there was always, you probably later developed into kind of like something to start to capture the audience interest with a backing track. And then you do a segment in the middle with kind of like going through the
solo playing.
Showing what it sounded like on different pickups and different effects. And that evolved over the years. But for me, there was always some piece you did that I knew the song. Sure. I thought it just made me want to buy the guitar, and then I realized, well, I actually own them, so so I'd be buying every one of those guitars.
It was about the videos. I think it was also partly good timing as far as where I was at as a player, because I had just recently moved to LA, and I was getting more into early rock and roll, surf music, West Coast blues, jazz blues, and all that stuff. That was like what, I was... Before then, I was like a touring player. I played with like rock bands and Latin bands and all that stuff, like a session guy. But I was so like dead focused on what I was hearing in Southern California. And a lot of those early videos that I did for Eastwood was just me playing kind of 50s blues, jazz stuff, slide, and I think partly the designs that were coming out really lent themselves to that style of music. Yeah. And I think they just kind of, it's like peanut butter and jelly, I guess.
Yeah.
What was your objective for doing the videos at that point? What were you thinking you were going to get from, because they were on YouTube, right? And that's when you started the channel.
I had no idea, because like we said, it was kind of like the wild, wild west back then. Yeah, there was nothing, there was no money to be made on YouTube that we knew of at the time. It was just kind of like, here's promotion. People can go online and see what these instruments sound like if they can't, find them in stores. And so my goal was really just to visualize, like, the player that would want to play this guitar, what would they be into as far as styles and stuff.
When did it occur to you that this could become a business of your own?
Well, it started to occur to me a couple years before I actually made the jump. I want to say as early as like 2016, 2017 is when I started getting the thought in my mind, like, okay, I'm not really enjoying the traveling part of touring. Yeah. It doesn't mind me now. I mean, I'm not minded by it now, but I think at some point I'm going to get tired of it. And then, okay, if I'm not touring, what can I do? Well, YouTube and guitar demo stuff is kind of picking up, it's getting a lot of momentum. But it was still nothing like it is today in 2022. But as early as 2016, I was toying with the idea of taking a break, at least from touring. But it wasn't until the end of 2018 where I made the decision to just stop touring and just focus on videos full time, which I don't know, maybe it took like 2 years for me to get the courage, or just it took 2 years for me to like finally get sick of traveling.
Yeah. But that's a big commitment to kind of change your entire life
especially
plan, business plan, etc.
Yeah, especially in the in the music industry, anything like we saw with the pandemic in 2020, like if you were a touring musician and you didn't really have anything else going on, then gone. Yeah. So I feel like I got lucky that I made the jump when I did, because 2019 would have been my first full year as a full-time YouTuber, I guess. Yeah. So I had at least a solid year under my belt of doing YouTube videos before everybody in 2020 started doing YouTube videos. So I gotta...
Are you comfortable with being a YouTuber like these days?
I am now. Yeah. I think there's... am I comfortable being called a YouTube guitarist? Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I don't like... there's people that say, oh, you're not... YouTube guitarists aren't real musicians. They're not real professional musicians or whatever. Yeah. But like, I know that I've paid my dues as a musician and did what I did. But I'm totally comfortable saying that I'm a YouTube guitarist as opposed to, a gigging musician or a sideman or session guy or whatever. Yeah. Because especially now, it's like, kind of. Something that a lot of kids want to be.
Totally. Yeah, it's been interesting. Like, we've seen the shift at the NAMM shows, which you've probably, when you've been to them, there's been a shift probably since 18 of the celebrities have been more like, I hate the word influencers personally, because it's like YouTube guys have definitely grown in status at those shows and stuff, and it's, when you see people. Like, obviously, you will get recognised everywhere you go in that type of environment now, and like now.
Yeah, I think it's there's notoriety that goes along with it, and it's cool that it's, it doesn't feel like you're a famous musician, but it almost feels like you're a part of this community, and people know who you are, and because of, oh, you helped me with this guitar lesson thing, or you helped me decide on a certain pedal or whatever. Yeah. So it's almost like for consultation or something. I don't know.
Well, there's definitely been a focus on your videos with like the sound quality. That there's definitely a background to it before just becoming a YouTube guy. It's not like I think that comes through on the videos. I think to anyone who knows about music and especially recording.
Yeah, one of the things that like. When I decided to become a full-time YouTuber, I wanted to, strive to make the best videos I could. Yeah. And that meant really learning about cameras and video gear and lighting and editing and all that stuff, which is a totally different realm when you're a musician.
Yeah.
So but I had a head start since we started, doing videos since whenever 2011, 2012, and I slowly figured out what worked for me, what I knew how to do. Progressively bought better cameras, better lighting rigs, better audio setups and everything. So now I have it dialed in, and you can't change anything.
So how did you end up here in Nashville? Because I remember you were in LA when we got started, but there was a stint in Chicago too. I remember.
Yeah. So in 2013, my wife and I, we were living in Long Beach, California, and we were deciding, kind of getting sick of LA as far as the way it was set up and the price and the cost of living there and everything, and we wanted to try something different, and we kind of made the decision about Chicago. We're both from Michigan, from the Midwest, and we have friends that live in Chicago. So we had already made the decision to move to Chicago probably by the fall of 2013. We were going to move first thing 2014 to Chicago. Right after we made the decision about Chicago, I got called about doing a gig here in Nashville. So I was like, well, Chicago, Nashville, I mapped it out. It's like an 8-hour drive or a 1-hour flight. So I'm like, well, why don't we move to Chicago, and then I'll work in Nashville. We'll figure it out. I'll figure out how I'm going to get back and forth between Chicago and Nashville. It's not impossible. But so 2014, I was paying rent in Chicago and basically working in Nashville. But I love Chicago. It's like one of my favorite towns. But the year after 2015 is we decided, what, I'm going to be touring for who knows how many more years. Nashville would be would make more sense.
Sure. Yeah.
It was affordable to buy a house here at the time. Not so much now.
What does the future hold?
I feel I've carved out a nice little space in the guitar YouTuber realm. Mm-hmm. So I'm definitely going to continue with that. But outside of guitar YouTubing, I don't think I'm going to be the sideman musician guy just yet again. I'm still not hip to touring right now and traveling, but and it's always been in the back of my mind forever, and people have been telling me and bugging me you should put out some music, like an actual RJ album. I had put out the RJ and the Del Guapos thing a couple years ago, which was more just like a fun little project, no intention of touring with it or anything like that. But now I have a lot of friends and colleagues that started out as kind of session guys or sidemen and are branching out on their own and doing pretty good. And just the fact that they're able to be creative and, write songs and have your own thing. That's something that I've never done because I've always been, a hired gun type of person. So I think, because I've never done that, and I would like to do that, then that's probably the next thing I would do. And I say that every year. Yeah. And then I put it on the back.
But all the experience you're garnering as you go down the road, relative now to, sound and recording and rather than just being a touring musician, you've learned a lot in the last 10 years.
Yeah, and not only that, I've learned who I am as a player. Because one of the hardest things, I didn't probably learn this until my 30s, is like, how am I supposed to play? Like, what defines me as a player? Because I was always a sideman, so I was always playing what other people played or however the artist wanted me to play. So I never developed my own style until, late in the game in my 30s and up till now. So, after I figured out who I am as a player, then I got to figure out, well, who am I as a writer, as a songwriter, and what kind of music do I want to make and put out there? Because I have so many styles that I'm into that it was hard for me to choose one thing. Like I could put out a blues record, I could put out a rock thing or a jazz record or whatever. I'm like, well, I got to pick something.
Yeah.
So
we picked.
I'm narrowing it down to something definitely like in the jazzy blues vein. Just kind of like big hollow body stuff, but not like inaccessible jazz.
Yeah.
I don't want to make it like that. I just want to have that influence and make something.
You went deeper into like proper slide guitar, like Delta style stuff.
That was another phase I went into,
Yeah.
really deep.
Yeah.
Where I was, playing resonators and a lot of slide stuff, and I put out slide guitar courses and all that stuff. I was in Acoustic Guitar Magazine as like, what was that, like, next generation resonator players. I'm like, is that me?
How did that happen?
And then like shortly thereafter, I started getting more into video work, and I haven't picked up a resonator in years. So it's like, I don't want to get pigeonholed into one thing, but.
Would you say you have like a default setup that you would just like, you know what I mean? If
like a default, this is me?
Yeah, like guitar, amp, pedals.
I do.
It's probably hard for you to answer that as well, given.
Well, I just keep looking around here. There's eye candy everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as the gear, just by looking at it, this is kind of like what I use for the videos and the session work stuff. But as far as a player, I do lean more towards vintage tones, simple stuff as far as like, this guitar, maybe a little overdrive, maybe some tremolo, reverb, slap, delay, and that's it.
Yeah. Well, I think that's one of the main reasons our relationship worked so well off the start was the sound that you were getting out of our guitars, and the way it came across my computer speakers was just better than anything I've seen. And you because you took the time, the detail to capture the most, guitar video demos back then, which were almost none. But even up to the last 5 years ago, they're more trying to, like, you're filming it just on a cell phone.
Yeah.
You see the guitar, you get it, the image is good, but the tone is like lost in the mix. And you, right from the get-go, made sure that the tone was important, an important part of that content, like a really important part of the content, which it's hard, still today, people don't seem to realize how important that is.
Well, thank you. And I think my thing was always to like put the guitar in the context of music. That's why I always have a backing track to start out with, because it's like, to me, that's what catches my ear, is hearing the guitar in some sort of song form or whatever, not just noodling. I'll do the noodling afterwards, but
it captures the audience for sure. Yeah, like you don't want to. If somebody just starts playing a guitar with no backing track, with bad tone, you probably might last 15 seconds and move on.
Yeah,
but you capture the audience that way.
That's what I want to see and hear as a consumer or as a viewer is. That's kind of how I guess I developed my videos, is like, what do I want to see and hear if I was gonna, check out this guitar, buy this guitar. So, and, it's cool that other people feel the same way.
Yeah. And we're probably due to take another stab at a new RJ signature. And probably as far away as I could stay from that and just keep you two guys to sort it out, the better chance of success it will have.
Might have to put some of those microtonal frets.
Microtonal fan frets.
Oh no!
Yeah.